Good morning, students. So, in today's class, we will first start with the strings concept basics, and then we will continue further with string manipulation functions. So, in the previous class, we just discussed about the question paper and midterm related sets. So, here I have displayed lab sheet 3, which is the entire module 3. So in which we have one dimensional array, two dimensional array and strings, right? So here we have discussed starting from basic concepts of array, what is an array, and then one dimensional, both the types, two dimensional, certain operations on the array like input output basically to start with, and then some arithmetic operations, relational operators like comparisons. So we are comparing if it is odd or even index, and then we are comparing the value of the array with a particular price. So these are all one dimensional. And then we have seen the basic searching and sorting technique, linear search and bubble sort. And then we have also seen the real time scenarios. So this is the beginning of lab sheet 3, right? And then we have discussed about two-dimensional array. What is the two-dimensional array, the basic concepts, definition, and then we have seen how it is represented, how to take input and output for the two-dimensional array or a matrix. And then we have seen matrix addition and matrix multiplication as well, right? So that is the first part. The second part of module 3 is strings. So in this, we just started with the basic concepts of strings. I had asked you all to watch the video. So that is mandatory. I have explained in strings part 2 and 3 especially. I've explained the concept of strings in detail. That is including the initial concept of string. What is the meaning, how to take input, the type of functions, right? And also all the problems starting from problem 10 is in lab sheet 3 is for strings. So I've explained in that. Please watch both the videos. It is mandatory to watch it. Okay, so in that there are the concepts and then the program and the flow chart and also execution. So a sample input is taken and execution is done. Similarly, you have to execute with your any other input or the same input you can try. Okay, so please let me know, execute those programs, and as I've told you, if you have any errors you can send that screenshot and I'll help you out. Okay, so we just started with the different input output functions, right? So what is formatted input? Anyone?
Scanf, ma'am.
Scanf. Good. What is formatted output?
Printf, ma'am.
Printf. So scanf and printf we have used from the beginning of our programming days, right? So the same thing we can use for string. So the very first program we discussed was using formatted input output, that is to take input using scanf and to print the string using printf. So what is the format specifier for a string?
Percentage F.
Very good. Percentage S is the format specifier for a string. So while taking input, we have to note. So scanf, percentage S is the format specifier, comma. We are not giving the ampersand. So that is one important thing, because the name of the string itself acts as the address. Otherwise, if it was an integer, for example, int a, if we have declared, while taking input, we give scanf percentage d ampersand a. So that is for other type of variables like integer, float, etc. But for a string, we should not be mentioning the ampersand. That is the part of syntax. The name of the string itself acts as a pointer or the address. So it will store the string in this particular name, that is student, which we have declared. So there is no need of ampersand, only for a string input. Next, we are printing the, any doubts? We are printing the string using the printf function. So percentage S is the format specifier, comma, name of the string, student. So here we have the space is identified as the end of the string. If we are typing something, if we are taking input using scanf, it considers only the first word. For example, if we give Abdul space Kalam, it will consider only Abdul and store Abdul as the name of the student. It does not consider the entire name because there is a space in between, right? So it takes only the first word, and when we display it using printer, you can see that it prints only Abdul. Did you all execute this program? Did you execute this program? Yes or no? Yes. Did you get this similar output?
No, ma'am, didn't execute, ma'am.
Okay. Why?
Ma'am, today.
Okay, fine. Today after class, please execute these string related problems. And if you have any doubts or errors and all, you can let me know. Okay.
You can tell.
Yes. Yeah. We'll continue. So this is formatted input output. Yeah. So next we have unformatted input output. What is unformatted input function?
Get S, ma'am.
Get S is called as unformatted input function. What is unformatted output?
Put S.
Put S function. So these are defined. Okay, so there as that is a keyword. Once compiler sees it, it understands that get S is used to take input for the string named student. Okay, so here we are declaring the student string and taking input using get S. So we give a statement, read student name for the user to enter the name, and we take input using unformatted input function, that is get S. Next, we are printing that same input. So if we observe, if we give this entire thing, so what should be the output for this input, Abdul Kalam? What do you think will be the output for problem 11? If input is Abdul Kalam.
Abdul Kalam.
Abdul
Name
Kalam.
output will get, no, ma'am.
Yes, full name you will get, because in get S, it is going to accept, yes, right, Abdul Kalam itself we will get. So whole name, because space also is considered as part of the input. Only enter will be considered as end of input using get S. So here it will accept the entire name. Abdul space Kalam is the entire name which is stored to student. Unlike scanf. In scanf, only Abdul will be stored. As soon as it sees this space, it will stop taking input. So that is why when we print, we will get only the first word. That is the difference between formatted and unformatted input output. Okay. I hope input output is clear to all of you. Any doubts?
Yes, ma'am.
Clear. Okay. So next we have the functions or operations on the string. So basically we have two things. What is size of this string? Let us take the first example itself, char student of 100. What is the size? What is the size of this string student?
100.
100, right? Why 100? Why is it 100?
Because characters 1 byte. No?
Yes, character is declared as 1 byte, and we have declared as
And
student of
that
100.
characters 1 into 100.
Yes, very good. So it will reserve 100 bytes. That is string size. And if we give input as Abdul Kalam, what is the length of the string?
11.
11. So including
11, ma'am.
space, yes. Length is the number of characters including the space. If we take using get s, right? So then It will be the
Some
entire
Bhima.
length. Yes. So the length of the string is the number of
Some.
characters. Size is how much we have declared. So that is how much is reserved. So if we declare as 100,
Fan and the cup just now.
size will be 100 bytes, but the length depends on the input, right? So problem 12 is to find the length of the string. That is how many characters we have in the string. So we need to find the length of the string. So usually how will we find the length? We just saw that we had Abdul Kalam, we counted each letter and also the space, and at the end we said that the length is 11. So we are counting one by one. So exactly same logic we will follow while counting the length, right? So to calculate the length, we will simply count the letters one by one. We know that the string is stored in the form of array, right? So let me just, are you able to see the white screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So here we have the string. So in this case, say we store one, okay? Let me say this. Okay, so we have just stored like this. So if we say this is nothing but a string which is a character array. So it also has indexes like any normal array we have seen. So first value will be C, and then we have O. Let me draw this. So then M, P, U, T, E, and R. What will be there after R?
Space, ma'am.
Here,
Null.
null character. At the end of every string, we have a null character, right? \0. So this is the null character. What is the first index?
No, full.
C.
Yes, C index
0.
0. Like any array, even the string index
Yes.
starts from 0, right? So here we have the index for this like any other array. So a string is nothing but a character array. So we have index just like any other array, one dimensional. So we have the index here also, right? So for example, if we are storing like this, okay, say S is the name of the string, right? So in this case, we have to count letter by letter. So in this first, we will start from 0, right? And then we have to count till R, right? So once we encounter null, we will stop counting the letters. So if we have to find the length, we have to count the letters one by one. So we will check for S of 0. So S of 0 is nothing but equal to C, right? So that is the first
C.
letter we are checking. So is it equal to null?
It is not equal to null. No.
It is not equal to
character.
null. It is some letter, some character. So here we will check. So we have one count variable. So we will have one count variable which is initial 0, right? So now if we check this first letter, so it is not null. So it is some letter. So we have to count it. So count gets incremented to 1. Okay. So next we will check. Okay, S of 1. Oh, is it null? No, O is a letter. It is not null.
No.
Increment count every time. This is how we will increment. Then for M, again, M is not null, right? So what happens to count? Count becomes 2 plus 1, 3.
3.
Next we check for P. So P, is it equal to null? No. So what
No,
happens?
ma'am.
No. So what happens to count? Count becomes
4.
4. Next check for U. U is not equal to null. So count becomes plus 1,
5.
5. Next T. T is not equal to null, right? So count becomes
6.
6. Next we have E. E also is not equal to null. So what happens? Count becomes
7.
7. Next, R also is not equal to null. So count becomes
8.
8. Now next we have S of
8 is
8
null.
null. So S of 8 is null. So condition is false. So control comes out, right? So what is the final value of count?
8.
Count is 8. So that is nothing but the length of the string, right? So length of the string is, so we are counting letter by letter until we reach null. So that is the value of count, which is the length. So final value is 8. So length of the string is 8. Right? So that is what we have here. So in this program, we are initializing one variable for the index of for loop and then one count variable. We are initializing that to 0. Note that when we are writing here, we have two statements. We have given a semicolon. If we give a semicolon, we may write any number of statements in the same line, right? So you can also give count equal to 0 here itself, or we can give like this also, count equal to 0. This is one statement, this is another statement, right? Semicolon will separate them. So this can be written, instead of writing in the next line, it is written in the same line. So this is also possible. Okay. So we are taking input using get s. Now we start I from 0. Index of the string starts from 0. So I is considered as the index here. Right. So student of I, student of 0 is checked. So like we just saw in the example, C is student of 0. Is it not equal to null? Yes. So capital C was the first letter. It is not equal to null. So condition is true. Control enters the loop. Now count plus plus, count was 0, it increments to 1. Next, I is also incremented to 1. We will check student of 1. Yes, so student of 1 is nothing but next letter O. O is not null, so count increments to 2. Okay, so here similarly, we are going to check every time we will increment I and also increment count till R. So then count becomes 8. Next, when we check for student S of 8, okay, so S of 8, when we check this, is the program visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So here we have taken int I is and comma count, which is the first statement declaration. In the same line, we have initialized count equal to 0, right? So this also is possible. These are two different lines. This count equal to 0 can be written in the new line or in the same line. Okay. So next we are taking input for the student, and index I starts from 0. We will check from student of 0 not equal to null. So C is not equal to null. Count is incremented by 1. So count becomes 0 plus 1, 1. Next, I also will be incremented. So I becomes 0 plus 1, 1. Okay. Now we check student of 1, which is O in our example. So O is not equal to null. So again increment count. Count was 1, it becomes 2. Next, I is incremented. So I becomes 2. Student of 2 is checked with null. So it is not equal to null. Again, increment count. So this keeps continuing repeatedly until we count till R. Right. So here, as we can see, until we count till R. So once we check R, R is also not equal to null. Count becomes 8. Okay. Now next, when I becomes 8, I is incremented, I becomes 8, we check S of 8 not equal to null. No, condition is false because last index value is equal to null. So in this case, we see that the condition of for loop is false. Student of I, student of 8 is null. So null not equal to null, condition is false. Control exits from the loop and comes to the next line. So at the end of this for loop, count holds the number of letters, that is 8. We print that as the length of the string. Is this clear? Is this clear? You understand this? Yes? Okay. You anyway have the option to unmute yourself. You can unmute yourself and ask if you have doubts. Okay. So we'll continue. So we just found the length of the string. Next one is to concatenate. So that means we are combining two strings. So we have the first string and then combine it with the next string. So we write it together. That becomes concatenation. For example, if we have first name and after that we write the last name. So first name and last name together we call it as the full name. So this is nothing but concatenation. We can say like adding both the strings, right? Combining them together. So at the end of first string, we will write the second string. So here in this example, we will concatenate two strings, right? So we are taking those two strings as first name and last name. Okay. So we are declaring first name of 100, last name of 100. And then we take the answer resultant string as full name. So we are declaring as 200. Any size can be given. So just a little more than this so that when we combine them, it can be stored properly. So that is why we declare full name of 200. Then we are taking ij as indexes. So for combining two strings, we need to take input. What is the input required here?
First name, ma'am.
First name and that's all.
Last name.
First name and last name, ma'am.
First name and last name. We need two inputs in this example, right? So we are taking input first name, okay, get S of first name. Then we ask user enter the last name, take input for the last name. So as we see here, since the index starts from 0, we are taking j equal to 0. Initialize j to 0. And we have two parts. So the first thing is we have to here copy the first name letter by letter to the full name. So for example, I'll just display this white screen back. So for example, if we have this computer, okay, let us take the same and say I am going to take one more string. Okay. So I will give signs, right? So this is another string. Okay. So here we have, let me draw this. So SCIE, NC and E, and we also have one. Okay, so here we have a null character, right? So, okay, that is just here out. Fine. So what is the first index? Here again, first index will be 0. First index of this string
0, ma'am.
0, right? So every array starts with 0. So here as well we have first index is 0. So let me write this. So we have the different indexes continuously it is stored. So here we have the string. Say we consider this, I'm giving a name as S1, right? So this is nothing but first name. This is last name. Consider like that. So if we have to combine them, we will have to write it together, right? So that is the meaning of concatenation. So in this case, we are combining the first string S and then after that we will write S1. So what is the resultant string for us? So a resultant string we will get like this. So the first part we have here is S of 0. We need to copy this. So for example, I write this resultant string, say R. I'm just taking different names. We can take, in that case, it is first name and last name, okay, and full name, right? So here, the first thing is we need to copy the first word letter by letter, excluding null. So first we are copying S of 0 to R of 0, right? So in this case, we are going to have the index similarly, right? And then we have
Ma'am, one ma'am.
what? Yeah, okay. Thank you. So here we have 8, 6. Fine. So some indexes we have here. Okay. So here what happens while concatenating? So first thing is we are taking S of 0 has to be stored to this R of 0. So here first we are going to store C. So letter by letter we will store them, right? So now this has the index. So for S we are taking index as I. For R we take the index as J. So if we go back to this, we have the program here, right? So when we see this program, we are storing letter by letter. That is, first name is copied to full name. So for the first name, we are taking index as I. It starts from 0. For full name, we take index as J. There also it starts from 0, right? So initially, I and J are zeros. So first name of 0 is C, which is not equal to null. Condition is true. Control enters into the loop. So first name of 0, letter by letter. So we are copying the first letter to full name of 0 because J is 0. So first name of 0, C is copied to full name of 0. Next we are incrementing J by 1. It becomes incremented to 1. So next again I also will be incremented to 1. So then first name of 1 is compared to null. So we have O is the first name, that is the index, right? So here we check what is the second letter. So O is the second letter. Is it equal to null? No. So first name of 1 will be copied to full name of 1. So in this case, after C, we get O. Similarly, next I also is incremented. It becomes 2 and J also increments. It becomes 2. So first name of 2 will be copied to full name of 2. So here we get M, right? So then we have similarly U, okay, Puter, right? So with the indexes we have 3 and then 4, 5 and 6 and 7. So we copied the letters one by one. I hope till here it is clear. Yes or no?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Yes. So we just copied all the letters of first name to last name, right? So note that we will not copy null character. So what is the condition here? When we see the condition of the for loop, so we have come to the last letter, that is null. So first name of I is null, null not equal to null. So we have got the condition is false. So control X on the loop. But note that J is incremented every time. So every time J will point to the next position. So if we see this example, so now J is pointing to 8. So here it is 8. I value also is 8, right? So both are 8. So in this case, note that J value is not changed. Okay, J next will not start from 0. If we start from 0, it will overwrite on computer itself. We don't want to overwrite it. We want to write signs after computer, right? So that is why we take the letters, combine them together. So in this case, we are taking the first string copied letter by letter to the resultant. So first name, entire thing is now copied. When it sees null, I is 8 and J also is 8. Okay. Now next we are going to check for the next loop. So this loop has completed. Null equal to null, condition is false. So the loop will complete. Now J is 8. Note that we don't change the value. So here I starts from 0. This J is for full name itself. This I will be for last name. Next, after copying full name, first name one by one, we need to copy the last name. So last name index also starts from 0. So that is why again we start I from 0. Is this clear? Okay. So here last name of 0 is checked. So what does that mean? Check that if the first letter in the last name is equal to null. If it is not null, we will copy last name of 0 to full name of J. What is the value of J?
8.
8. So last name of 0 will be copied to full name of 8. Right? So note what happens here. Going back to this screen. So last name of 0 is S. So it should be copied to full name of 8. Right? So now when we copy this, so full name of 8 will get S. Okay, now again I gets incremented to 1. Okay, but J also gets incremented. Its value becomes 9. I is 1, J is 9. So last name of 1 will get copied to full name of 9, right? So similarly, we continue. So every time I and J gets incremented. So next I becomes 2, J becomes 10, we copy the next letter. Next I becomes 3, J becomes 11, we will copy the next letter. Okay, so here E. Similarly, we copy I becomes 4 and J becomes 12, we copy the next letter N. Again, I is incremented, it becomes 5. Then J incremented, it becomes 13, we copy the next letter C. Right? Next, I becomes 6, J becomes 14, we copy the next letter E. Now, when we see this, I also gets incremented to 7, J gets incremented to 15. Okay, so what is last name of 7?
9.
Null, right? So when we check,
Null.
go back. So what happens here? So when we see the program, going back to the program. So here, when we see the condition says we check for last name of I not equal to null. But when we check the last letter of the last name, it is null. So null not equal to null, condition is false, right? So because condition is false, that means we have copied all the letters from last name one by one to full name. Okay, so now we have the entire last name plus full name in the full name, first name plus last name we have in the full name, right? So when we see this, we have got the input first name and then input last name which we have taken. We print them again. This is optional, but since and only for our reference we can print it again, first name and last name with a new line in between, and then we print the full name, right? So when we have given, for example, input like this, so first name if we give computer, second last name if we give science, output will be computer science, and then there is a null character at the end added. Is this clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So this is called as concatenation of strings. So we have one string, at the end of that we write the second string. So as output we get both the strings together. This is similar to adding them, like combining them. Okay, so at the end of the first string we append the second string. This is called as concatenation. Okay, right. Now going back to the lab sheet, uh, is the lab sheet visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, okay. So now we have seen some problems. So how it actually works. Now these, as you see, can be, the entire program can be replaced by just one line. Okay, that is a string manipulation function. For example, we have like this. We take input for first name and last name, and this whole thing starting from j equal to 0 up to here is for concatenating. So we have so many lines of code, it can be replaced by just single line, right? So that is when we have built-in functions. It is called as string manipulation functions. So we are manipulating or performing some operation on the string. So those functions are called as string manipulation functions, right? So there are different operations. We can use certain keywords to find this. For example, if we take this same program, there is a function called strcat. Is nothing but string concatenation. So strcat will perform this entire operation. So these string manipulation functions will be defined in the header called as string.h. So then we have to mandatorily include the header file string.h if we are using string manipulation function in our program. Okay. So this entire thing can be done by that one single line. Okay. So this is defined in string.h. So let us see one by one. There are many string manipulation functions. Okay. So for that, we need certain header files. There are many header files. We will limit to a few for this, okay, module, right? So there are so many function header files. So assert.h, ctype.h for character type, okay? So don't worry much. It is not in your scope of this syllabus right now, okay? So character type, when we use those functions, we will include this. Math.h, we are going to see program in this lab sheet. So math.h defines many mathematical functions. So we have certain keywords which are defined in math.h. So for example, sqrt is square root. So the meaning of sqrt is defined in math.h. That means it will find the square root. Similarly, we have many more mathematical functions, trigonometric, like sine, cos, etc. So we will see that in the next part, right? Then we have some other header files, set, jump.h, signal.h, stdio, which we have used, right? And standard library functions are there, stdlib functions. Now we will see string.h. Okay, so string.h defines many string handling functions, or it is also called as string manipulation functions. If we need to display date, time, etc., we can use time.h also. There are certain programs where we can display time or current date. So in that case, we can use time.h. So in this module, we will be seeing about string.h and math.h. Okay, next. So let us see first, string.h will define different string manipulation functions. So whenever we are using these string manipulation functions, we have to include hash include string.h. So along with hash include stdio.h, we have to write hash include string.h. Otherwise, it gives an error that this particular word is not defined. Okay, so the strcat, for example, if we use that word in our program, so we should have hash include string.h. I hope this is clear regarding the header. Okay, so let us see the different functions. So string manipulation functions. So we have here the functions, like we just saw the program for finding the length of the string. So that entire program can be replaced by just one line. So this one, so strlen is the keyword, which is the string manipulation function. It is built in, that means it is already defined. So we just have to write this much. So name of the string. So it will calculate this and return a value, an integer, that is the number of characters in the string. So it will return the length of the string. Next we have string copy. So it will copy string 2 to string 1. Entire string 2 will be copied to string 1. Okay. Next strcat, we will concatenate string 1 and string 2 like we just saw. So if we consider string 1 first name, string 2 last name, so the resultant will be in string 1 itself. That means at the end of string 1 it will add string 2. Okay, so resultant string we will get in string 1. We will see program also. Okay, so and then we have a little variation, which is strncat. If we see strcat, the entire string 2 is concatenated, like we saw in this example. So computer and science. So full word science is concatenated. In strncat, we may specify n value. For example, if we specify 3, okay, so we have the first string, then at the end of that, only the first 3 letters, so sci only will be taken. So our string will stop here. Okay, so sci only. So it will take only the first n letters of the second string. Yes, final answer will be in string 1. So what it does is, if we have string 1 here, so here comparing with the previous problem I just told till sci, what actually it happens is, we have string 1 here, so it will take 3 letters. For example, if we give n as 3, it will take s and add it here after r. Null character will be moved later. Okay, so S and then C and then I. So the value of the first string becomes computer SCI and null. I hope this is clear, the meaning of str ncat. Yes or no?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Yes. Okay. So in string cat, it concatenates the entire string. Okay. In str n cat, it will take only n characters, block of n. For example, if n is 3, only 3 letters will be added at the end of string 1. Okay. So going back to this lab sheet. So here we have seen that. So we need to mention what is string 1, what is string 2, and what is n. These are all parameters within bracket we have to give. So these are like giving input to that function. Okay. So it will take string 1 and n characters of string 2 will be added to string 1. So if we have to display output, we have to display string 1. Okay. Next, we have string compare. So in this case, we have two strings. We will compare if they are equal. So for example, if we give string 1 as ABCD, here note that small letters and capital letters are different. So because the case matters, they will have different ASCII values. So if we give this as capital ABCD and this as small ABCD, still they are not equal. Okay. So in case we give both equal, okay, so capital ABCD, capital ABCD. If both the strings are equal, this strcmp, string compare function, returns 0. Okay, so if str1 is same as str2, it returns an integer itself. So non-zero will be returned when they are not equal. So for that, if string 1 is less than string 2, so in this case, considering say here, same example, if we take, how do you say one string is less than string 2? So that is by comparing the characters. Okay, so here if we see C, ASCII character, ASCII value of C is less than ASCII value of S. So we can say that C is less than S. So say we start from 65A, 66B, 67C, and we continue so on. So S value will be something more than 80 or 70s or 80s. So this is 67, which is less than 70s or 80s, right? Exact number I have to see. So when we count that ASCII value, so C is less than S. So that is why we can say that string 1 is less than string 2. Okay, so like that, if we compare, so it will compare letters, and then if string 1 is less than string 2, it will return a negative value. Okay, if string 1 is greater than string 2, it returns a positive value. If both are equal, it returns 0. Okay, so when we execute this, we can easily know. So give input for string 1 and string 2. Take test cases for all the three, right? Give equal strings, and then once you give string 1 less than string 2, that is smaller variables like ABCD, and say you give string 2 as GHIJ, something like that. So string 1 less than string 2. And next you can interchange them. So string 1 greater than string 2. So you can observe the values. So value of that positive or negative depends on the ASCII value of the input we give. Okay. So here it will compare two strings basically. If string 1 is equal to string 2, it returns 0. If they are not equal, it returns a non-zero value. Okay. Then we have string reverse. So this is to reverse the string. So if we give computer, so it will reverse it. So first letter instead of C becomes R. Okay, so it will reverse the string, but this is a non-standard function. What does that mean? It is not available in all the compilers. Okay, so if we say this, we have used certain compilers will not support this. Okay, so here we can see that string reverse, string lower will convert the string to lowercase. strlwr is string lower. It converts the input to lowercase. For example, we entered all the letters here in capital, right? So if we see this computer, all are in capital. If we give strlwr of S, right? So like this we can give. Just a minute. If we give, so this is a keyword, it needs to be in small letters itself, strlwr within bracket, if we give s, s is the name of our string, right? So and close, so it will convert this entire thing to lowercase, and whatever we have here, so we will get all of them in small letters. So it will convert, so our string will change, so it becomes like this. Okay, so this entire thing gets converted to small letters. Similarly, we have string upper also, right? So as you can see here, so string upper is another manipulation function, strupr. So if we give input in the form of lowercase, right? So if all are lowercase letters, it will convert all the letters of the string to uppercase, right? So if we give like this, all lowercase letters, computer, it will convert it all to capital, right? So that is strupr. So string reverse, string lower, and string upper are supported only by a few compilers, okay? But all other functions can be used in all compilers. Is this clear? Are the string manipulation functions definition clear? Yes or no?
Ma'am. Yes,
We'll
ma'am.
continue. We'll
Yes,
continue.
ma'am.
Yes, so next part is we will see how to use these functions. We just saw the definition and the syntax. We will see how to use these functions, right? Yeah, so these are defined by certain compilers. So here, so string reverse, string lower, and string upper, they are defined only for a few compilers. So that is when they are designed. So, okay, so it is not available in all compilers. Only few of them support this, but it is there in some of the compilers. So in some versions, right, in the version which we are using, right? So you can try that. So let us see one by one when we see, we will know how to use this. Okay, so now we have the program to show how to use these functions, right? So the very first one is strlen. You can compare that to the first manipulation function we just saw. So there we counted letter by letter, right? So instead of that, we are just going to have a single line. So note that we are including string.h, very important. Okay, so because we are using string manipulation function, we have to include string.h. Do not forget this, right? So remember to use string.h along with stdio, both have to be included. Then we are declaring a string here, a of 100, right? And an integer which will store the length, int length. Then taking input using getS. So getS of a, we take the input for the string. Now you can see how strlen is used. So we simply specify strlen, within bracket we write the name of the string. Here name of the string is taken as a, so that is the parameter. So a is then given to count the length. Then whatever value it returns will be a number. It will count the number of characters, and that will be stored to length. Okay, so this single line will perform the operation of the entire program. We just saw program previously to count, right? So here, so whatever we have written in this loop, so this entire thing can be replaced by that single line, length equal to strlen of student. That's it. So this is the working of strlen. So this is what will be defined in string.h. So as soon as we give strlen, it will perform this same operation, counting the letters one by one, right? So that is how we can use. So here when we give strlen of a, so that is the string we have taken. So it will take whatever input we have given in a, it will count each character by character until null. Null is not counted. Okay, so it will count, say there are 8 letters, so it will return 8. Now length variable has the value as 8. Next we print the length of the string is 8, right? So executions and clear examples are there in the video also. I've explained this with the flow chart. Please watch that video also. Okay, so here you have to execute and check. If you get doubt, you can see there as well, right? Execute this, give an input. Okay, since we are taking getS, it will take spaces also, it will count. Okay, so and display the length of the string. Is this clear? Using strlen.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So we are simply specifying in this line length equal to strlen of a. So this single line is the main part of this program. So it will count the length of this string and store it to length variable, and then we print it. So next one we have is concatenation. So we have seen this, right? So this program where we concatenated first name and last name. So this is the main logic. So this entire thing can be replaced by a single line, right? So that is what is the working of strcat. So that is built-in function. So while the question, if it is like write program to concatenate two strings, so if it is mentioned without using built-in function, then you have to write this itself. Okay, so this is without using the built-in function. So those are all inbuilt or it's defined. So without means you have to show how it works step by step. So this is without using built-in function. So if it is mentioned using built-in function, or if it is nothing is mentioned, then you can write this. So you can use strcat, right? So let us see how it works. We need to concatenate two strings, right? So we have declared string 1 and string 2, which is to be concatenated. What is the input required? So whenever we have a problem, we have to decide input. So string 1 and string 2. So output will be in
String 1.
string 1. Good. So we just saw the definition of strcat. So in the previous program, when we concatenated, we stored it to full name, right? Their output was full name. But here we are using strcat. It will store it back to string 1 only, right? So let us see. First part, we are taking input for string 1. Next, we take input for string 2 using get s, right? So this we know how to take. Get s of string 1, get s of string 2. Now, this is where we see strcat. So if we mention this, this means that we are concatenating string 1 with string 2. So the entire string 2 will be appended to the end of string 1, right? If we consider computer string 1, right? And science is string 2. So entire science is added at the end of string 1. So we will get string 1 itself as computer science. So that is in string 1, right? So that is the first part in this program. So strcat. In the same program, so then because output is in string 1, we will print string 1, right? And in the same program, we are seeing the usage of strncat also. So the only variation is we have n mentioned, the number of letters of string 2 to be concatenated, right? So here, if we take example, so this is taken as 10. So it is not necessary always you need to take 10. N can be given as any value. In this example, we have given 10. You may give 2, 5, 6, anything. Okay, depending on that value. So here we have given 10. So the first 10 letters of string 2 will be concatenated
1,
to
2,
string 1.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8,
Note that
9,
if it
10,
is less
11,
than
12,
10,
13, 14, 15,
so if
16,
it is less
17,
than
18,
10, they
19,
all the
20,
letters will be
21,
taken.
22, 23, 24.
Yes,
24.
any doubts?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11,
No,
12,
ma'am.
13.
Okay, so in this case, I've taken some input like this. So let me see. This is problem number 15, right? Wait, I'll just display this. So I'll be executing this. Are you all able to see the command prompt?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, so we have the, yes, so here program P15.c, right? So here we have the program taking input for string 1 and string 2, and then we are going to concatenate string 1 with string 2 first using strcat. Then, yeah, then we will concatenate using strncat. Yes, so we have declared the size. So we have a doubt that this size should be greater. You can declare, no problem. So anyway, we assume that we are not giving 100 letters. So 100 will be sufficient. String 2 also, we have declared a very large size, right? So that will not be a problem. We will not give such a big input. It becomes a tedious process, right? Entering 100 letters. So we are limiting it. So that is why we are just given as 100. So otherwise, if you are giving a lesser value, so say you give here as 20, right? So in that case, 20 will not be enough. Then you can give here as 40 or 50, right? So that also can be done. But instead of taking like this, we just simply give 100 so that it will be serving, right? So practically we don't give 100 letters usually as input. So that is why this will solve the problem. I hope your doubt is clear. Okay. So
Yes,
size we have given a larger value which will be sufficient. Even if we give 10 letters or 15 letters here and say 20 letters here, also 20 plus 15, so 35 will surely be fitting into this size of 100. Okay, so that is why we have given a larger size. If you want to save memory which is reserved, you may give a smaller size here like this. That is also not a problem. Okay, so this is the maximum memory we are reserving. So it does not mean that you have to give so many letters. Okay. Yeah. So continuing here, we have declared okay, string 1, string 2 taken input for both of them. strcat will concatenate both the strings. Okay. Now note that the input whatever we have taken will get changed. So when you see this strncat string 1, it will not take what input we have given. What input? What will it take? The output of string cat, right? So let us execute this, then we will be more clear. So first 10 letters of string 2 will be added to the end of string 1. So let us execute this, right? So ECC team.c. So here A is the execution. I'm going to give the string, say, let us give presidency. Okay. Right? So presidency is string 1 and string 2 I am giving a larger value because we need the first 10 letters, right? So University Bangalore. Right. So here string 1 is presidency, string 2 is University Bangalore. So please tell me what is the output after concatenating them?
Presidency University Bangalore, ma'am.
Yes, good. Presidency University Bangalore is the output of strcat. In which string will we store this?
Emma.
String 1, ma'am.
Emo.
1,
String
right?
1.
So string 1 now is not presidency, it is Presidency University Bangalore, right? After strcat. Next, when we take strncat, right? So here we have the strncat, for example, in the program. This is visible clearly. strncat, we have string 1. This string 1 is now Presidency University Bangalore and not simply presidency, right? So to that we will append the first 10 letters of string 2 because we have given 10, right? So what are the first 10 letters? Tell me. First 10 letters we have. So in this case, first 10 letters, university only. So it means we have the output. As you can see, this is output of strcat. Okay, this is output of strncat. Let us see. So strcat means we have string 1. To the end of it, it has appended string 2. Right? So now string 1 becomes Presidency University Bangalore. Right? So after this, we have strncat, wherein we are taking the first 10 letters. So first 10 letters is university. We are appending it to string 1. What is string 1? Presidency University Bangalore. To the end of that, we are appending university. So after execution of strncat, what is string 1? What is string 1? after STR NCAT is executed?
Presidency University Bangalore, ma'am.
That's all.
Uncle వచ్చినాడు.
Presidency University Bangalore is after STR CAT is done. After STR NCAT, University is the first 10 letters. It is also added, appended. So now what happens to string 1? Previously it was Presidency University Bangalore. To that, first 10 letters of string 2 is added. So entire string 1 is now
Presidency University Bangalore University.
right. Okay. So first one is string cat, Presidency University Bangalore. Now that was string 1. To that we are appending the first 10 letters, that is university. Right? Say we change this, right? Let us say we don't want 10 letters. Okay. So if we give, right. So here we have the program. So let us give 5. What happens? Now what should happen? So if we have given n value as 5, right? So in this case, so here we have the first string. I will give the same input so that we compare. So first string Presidency, second string University Bangalore. Now what is strcat output? What is the first output here?
Huh?
What is the first
Presidency
output?
University Bangalore.
Presidency
Khali
University
paper.
Bangalore. What is the second output?
The
Presidency University Bangalore.
Presidency
Bangalore
University Bangalore, and then 5 letters.
Yes, good. So we get first string is concatenated to second, first strcat, we will get Presidency University Bangalore, right? Now, after this, we are going to take only 5 letters, right? We have given n value as 5. So instead of 10, unlike previous, it will take only first 5 and that will be appended to the end of string 1. So now string 1 is Presidency University Bangalore, UNIVE. Is this clear? Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, we'll continue. So this is concatenation of 2 strings. Right? Next, we will see how to copy one string to another, right? Using strcpy. So here we have strcpy. Problem number 16, to copy one string to another. So here we are declaring str1, okay? That is the first string of 20, str2 of 20. So in this case, we are taking only one input. Why? Because this has to be copied to the second string, right? If you take 2 inputs, whatever is there in str2, it will be overwritten. So anyway, it is not necessary. We will take only one input, str1, and then copy that to str2, right? So this, we are printing str1, that is optional. We are just printing whatever input we have taken, right? So in this case, we are just printing whatever input we take. And next, note the syntax. So strcpy, we will give the destination first and then the source. So in this case, we have taken input for str1. Is that the source or destination? So source is nothing but from where we are taking the input, right? So str1 will be
Source.
source, right? So from str1 we are storing to destination. So from Bangalore we are going to Delhi means from Bangalore is the source, destination is Delhi. We are going to Delhi, right? So now destination is str2. Whatever input we had taken is the source in str1. It has to go to str2. Destination is str2, right? So strcpy syntax is within bracket, first we write the destination string, comma, source string. At the end of this, so this single line means whatever we enter. If we enter, say, come to programming, so that will be stored to str2, and then we will print string 2, right? So execute this as well. Watch the video. In that I have shown the execution also along with the flowchart. Flowchart only for this you have to write, right? For all the other programs, flowchart also is there. So try to write the flowchart for this program in similar way. Will you be able to write it?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, try to write the same way. Like for all other programs, flowcharts are given. Only for this, I have left it as an exercise to you, right? Execution is done. You can watch that completely with different examples are there. Okay, so this program explanation also along with the output, right? Flowchart for only this program you have to write, right? Clear with this? Yeah?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, so we'll continue now. I just told you that these certain functions are there. Similarly, you can try for others also. What you have to do is, if you have, for example, string upper, string lower, you simply give. That was only one input, right? strlwr, you give of str1. That you just replace this with the syntax. So we saw the table with the syntax also for each of them. So strrev, strlwr, so strupr. So you have this line instead of say this string copy, right? If you want to compare, so just give like L you have taken, so strcmp and the functions. So it will return a number. So you can give like this. I'll just display this. So if you are comparing say S and S1, so in this case, we are writing this strcmp. Okay, so we have to compare string 1. So in this case, str1, or we have taken S, comma, whatever name we take, we can give like this. Okay, so this is comparison, and because it returns an integer, you can take some value. Okay, say some c equal to any integer. So it will return like this. So this is how you can write strcmp. And if you want to write string upper, you can give that strupr of s. Okay. Or string reverse. String reverse also is simply strrev of s. So these functions you can replace. Just we have the functions instead of strcat, you can write like this. So that line will be, you can try and execute those problems as well. Okay, that will be for your reference. So those are the different string manipulation functions. Now continuing with the next, we have the math functions, right? So till now we saw string.h, string manipulation functions. Next we have mathematical functions. So what is the header file we need for mathematical functions? Math.h, right? So now we will see what are the different functions which we have defined in math.h. Okay, so in this case we will define different mathematical functions. Okay, those are all available in math.h. That is the next part in our lab sheet. So here have math.h, mathematical functions.
నిన్న మనం ఫంక్షన్ కి వెళ్ళాం కదా అక్కడ ఒక సారి డాన్స్ చేశారు చూసారా పెళ్లి చూపులకు వచ్చాడు
As you can see in this case, we have the different mathematical functions. So all these are keywords and they are defined in math.h. Okay, so if we have to use any one or more than one, we have to include #include math.h. Okay, whether we use one function or more, we have to include math.h. So first one is floor. So this means the function returns the nearest integer less than or equal, right? For example, here if we have given the value as 3.4, so it will return a nearest function, round off to the lower value, it returns 3. Okay, so it does not round to a higher value, whatever function value we give. So it lowers it, only the integer part will be returned. Okay, next we have round. So this is again a keyword. This is like round off function as we use it in our program or any mathematical daily use. So nearest integer, if it is from 0.1 to less than 0.5, it will round it to the lesser value. If it is more than or equal to 0.5, say 0.7, 3.75, if we round it, we will get 4. 3.25, if we round, we will get 3. Right? So that is the function round. It rounds it like how we perform the normal round off function. So here we need float, double, or long, because it needs to be a decimal value. Right? So if it is from 0.1 up to less than 0.5, it will round it to the lesser lower value. 0.5 or more than 0.5, it will round off to the higher value. Okay. So is this clear? Round and floor? Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So next we have the trigonometric function. Similarly, we have many more. Ceil function also is there. CEIL, it will round to the higher value. Okay. Like floor, we have a function called CEIL. Okay. So ceil will round off to the higher value. Here we have, for example, that is nothing but CEIL function round to the higher value, right? We have ceil function, floor function, and so on. We have many more. Okay, so we will see them. So that is trigonometric function, as you can see. So it calculates the sine value. Here, note that the input should be in radians. If it is in degree, if we take input in form of degree, we have to convert it to radians. Okay, so sine will give us the sine value. Cos will give the cosine value. Cos hyperbolic, we have different hyperbolic function, tan, tan h, cosine, cot, all the functions are defined in math.h. Okay, only a few of them are taken here. Similarly, we have definitions for tan, cot, and all secant, all the functions, and all the hyperbolic functions also. Okay, so that is about trigonometric. All are not mentioned, but they are defined in math.h. All are not mentioned in this table, but it is defined in math.h. Okay, this is clear. Yeah. So next we have exponential, which is e. So here e to the power of x. So exponential, what we will see the working of these as well in the program. So exponential will return the exponent value to the power. So we have e power. So if you give 2, so then it will return that 10th power. So if we give 2, 10 power 2, if we give 20, 10 power 20. So we will see the usage as well in the program next. Okay, it returns the exponent value. So as we just saw, tan returns the tangent value, tan hyperbolic, right, sine hyperbolic. So these are all sorry, these are all the trigonometric and the hyperbolic functions, right, for them. And then we have the logarithmic function. Log, only log, if we mention it is log, natural log. What is the meaning of natural log?
Ma'am?
What is the meaning of natural logarithm?
Log to the base 10, ma'am. E.
E or 10?
E, ma'am. Neptune logarithm.
Right? E. E. So natural log is log base E. Okay. So that is what we have here. Only log, if we write, it is natural log. And if we have base 10, it is given as log 10. Note that these are keywords. It has to be given like this only. Okay. In small letters. So log 10, it will calculate the value to log base.
My brother lives in Raki Karnataka.
Okay, so here we are finding the different mathematical function values. So these are not limited, we have a lot more. Okay, so we have mentioned only a few of them in this table. So whenever we are using, these can be used, and some more also you can see. So SQRT will be used to find the square root of the argument. So if we give SQRT of 4, so it should return, what will be the output of square root of 4?
2, ma'am.
2. So in this case, if we give, for example, int a equal to 4 and sqrt of 4, it will return 2. Okay, so that is how sqrt or square root function works. So this is also defined in math.h. Similarly, we have power. So this power is a power b, right? We have, for example, 2 power 3, 3 power 4, 8 power 6, anything like that. If we want to give, we can use the power function. It takes 2 values as input arguments. This is different from exponent. Exponent is 10 to the power, right? Exp is different. We will see that also in the program, right? Power. And then we have the truncate function. So if we have a decimal, so it truncates the decimal value and returns only the integer. For example, if we have 2.6789 like that, so it truncates the decimal part. It returns only 2. Is clear? Are these functions clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
ma'am.
So we have many more like this. Few are defined here. So we are going to see the usage. The program 17 is the last program in lab sheet 3. It is used to illustrate the usage of mathematical functions. So if we are using mathematical functions, which header file is necessary?
Math.h.
Math.h. So please don't forget. So remember to use math.h function, right? Along with stdio. This has to be given compulsorily. Along with that, math.h also has to be included. So whenever we are using mathematical functions, we have to give math.h. Just like if we use string manipulation functions, we have to give string.h. Similarly, for mathematical functions, we have to include math.h. So here we are first taking some random variables. So this is not necessary always to give the same. We have taken an example. You may give any other value also just to see the working, and you may include many more functions also. We have taken only a few illustrations. Some more if you want to give, say tan or cos hyperbolic, or if you want to use square root, and all that can be included. So you can write few more printf functions, right? So initially we are taking some random variables, say I, we are declaring some integers. I is minus 10, okay, and E we have taken as 2, D equal to 10, and then floating point radian. For trigonometric function, we will define radian and initialize it to 1.43, and we have taken two double variables, D1 and D2, okay, D1 equal to 3.0, D2 equal to 4.0. Now let us see one by one an illustration. First we have ABS. ABS is absolute function. Absolute will return a positive value. Input may be positive or negative. Okay, so input may be positive or negative number. Absolute always returns the positive value. It is like how you write in maths, right? So you have absolute. So for example, you write like this. So one line, and then you write some name, say A, right? And then another. So this is absolute value. So if A is here minus 5, what will be the absolute of minus 5? What is absolute of minus 5?
5.
5, right? So it will just remove the negative sign. If it is positive number, it remains positive, right? So that is the meaning of absolute. So exactly same thing is done by ABS function, right? So we give ABS of I. So here in this example, we have taken I value as minus 10. So what is the expected output here?
10.
10, right? So it has to remove that negative symbol. It has to convert that to positive. So ABS of I will return 10. So that 10 we will print here. Okay. Next is sine. Sine of radians. So radians we have taken 1.43. So sine of 1.43 will be calculated and it will return that, and it will print. Because it is decimal, we will take percentage F. Similarly, cos. You can include like this tan, tan H, sin H, cos H, any all other trigonometric also, right? You can see that. Include some more like printf percentage F slash n, tan of radian, cos of, cos H of, like that. You may include all other trigonometric functions also. You can see the working similarly. Okay. Next we have exponent of E. So E is 2, it will calculate. So E, so power 2, right? So that is a floating point. Again, it will be printed here. So we will execute this program and then you can see how it calculates, right? Then we have log. If it is given as only log, it is which type of logarithm?
Natural logarithm, ma'am.
Natural log. So base e, right? So it will
E.
calculate here log of d. D value is 10. So it calculates log 10 base e. Okay. So if you want to include, say, one more statement, you can write log 10 of 10, right? So then it will calculate log 10 base 10. So that function also can be included in another printf, right? Next function we have is power. So d1 comma d2. So d1 is 3 and d2 is 4. So it will calculate 3 power 4. What is 3 power 4? 3 into 3,
81, ma'am.
81, right? So 3 is multiplied 4 times. So that is power 3 power 4. It will calculate and display in the printf. So let's see the execution. Can you see the command prompt?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So I'll just clear this. So we have program number 17, right? So we have other functions. If you want, you can include some more, tan as I told you, and then log 10 of all the functions. If you want, you can include square root, etc. Right? So I will just execute with this for now. So compiling it, GCC, right? And then A. So as you can see, so first absolute of minus 10, we got 10. Then sine of 1.43 is this value. Cos of 1.43 is this one, right? So let me just display the program as well. Then it will be easier. Here we have. So this is the program. Here we have cos of 1.43, right? And then we have exponent. So E is 2 here. So that value is 7.38, right? Then log of 10 base E is this value, minus 1147457444106. Then the last one is D1 power D2, that is 3.0 power 4.0. 3 power 4 is nothing but 81. Since it is floating point, we will get 81.000000. Is this clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So similarly, you may include some more printf statements for all other functions as well. Okay. So this is the lab sheet. So this completes module 3. Okay. Execute all these programs, go through them. Anywhere you get doubt, feel free to ask. Okay. All of you, please enter your name and roll number in the chat box.
Ma'am, can we write the programs in A4 sheet and send it, ma'am?
For record, yes.
25th.
Scan it together. Okay. So lab sheet, I have shared 2
Yes,
folders,
ma'am.
right?
We don't have
So CP record folder. In that there is lab sheet 2. So lab sheet 2 mentioned programs like how you were writing and keeping in the file. So instead of putting into file, you just scan it and one PDF for lab sheet 2. Store it, upload it to lab sheet 2 folder. Another PDF you create, scan all the lab sheet 3 papers at once, and that will be lab sheet 3 PDF. Give your roll number as the name of the file, okay, and upload it to lab sheet 3 in the Google Drive. Okay. And today's quiz will be at 8 p.m. for the absentees. So attend that. You will have one more quiz. Quiz 3 will be scheduled. I will inform you. That will be for arrays and strings. Okay. So that is also part of your continuous assessment. One more quiz for arrays and strings. So you can start preparing that. That will also be MCQ. I will announce the schedule as well. So today we just completed the module 3. So based on that module 3 itself, we will have the quiz. Do you all enter the name and roll number? Okay. Are these concepts clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, go through again and execute each program. Okay, you can take different test cases and also watch the video. Okay, in that with the flow chart I have explained, right? So while executing, if you get some errors, or even you can refer there and see how to give different type of input. For some program you need only 2 inputs, for some you need 1. So like that, you have different ways. So based on the logic you can see and decide. Okay, so that execution also is there, as well as explanation with the flow chart. So watch that video, and then if you have doubt also you can ask. Okay, yeah. Thank you.